Good evening, San Bernardino. I hope you guys are having a great day and a happy pre-4th of July. Being safe out there if you are traveling or if you're staying home. I hope you guys are having a great time. So I'm gonna give it a minute, make sure that everybody can get online that are available. And yeah, so for those of you that are staying local, please remember that fireworks above the 210, either safe and sane or the ones that shoot in the air, are illegal. And so don't do that. And if you are going to use fireworks below the 210, please be safe. So other than that, I hope you guys are having a super great day. Okay, so it looks like we're up and running. Yay. All right. So I'm going to recap by request last night's council meeting. I appreciate all the phone calls you guys till late last night and then early this morning. So we'll go over and cover just the highlights of what happened and what you didn't see, I guess, for those that caught the 20 minutes that we weren't live. So I created a PowerPoint, so we're going to have the presentation of it and we'll see how this goes. So I'm trying to make sure that it's not just me talking. So, all right, let me go ahead and jump in and make sure that you guys can see everything that needs to be seen. So, yeah, we're going to do our meeting summary and we're going to talk about our highlights. So, we had our regular meeting of July and there was a public hearing. So, let's get into that real quick. All right. So, for those that wanted to know, we did approve the rate increase for Burtec and they are now approved for an additional $1.33 per month on your bill. For the residents that we're asking, we do have a senior discount available, as well as smaller container discounts for homes that don't utilize as much trash output as other houses. And so if that is something that applies to you, either senior or smaller use, you can reach out to Burtec. They are also going to provide additional information to residents through their monthly newsletter. And you can apply as needed, I guess. So for those who were saying, well, I don't use the trash as often, Burtec did let the community know last night that it is a state requirement, a health and safety requirement that the trash is picked up weekly. So there's nothing that you can opt out of there, but you can definitely go for smaller receptacles. Hi, Tim. Thank you for joining. Beyond that, we had the discussion about the street sweeping, and so we're going to continue. There are street sweeping street sweeping happening. But as far as the postings and the days that occurs, that's on the city end, and so that'll be a discussion our director Lynn Merrill said we will be continuing to have. Thank you for joining, Councilwoman Kimberly Calvin. Appreciate you. So yeah, not a huge increase. There was a 3-year gap between any rate increase, if you guys remember. And so this was roughly for those in the community about a $16 a year impact. Okay. Next, someone had asked about this, what item was pulled last night? And there was an item to be discussed about guardrail replacements throughout the, various portions of the city that needed it. And so that is going to be continued to a future meeting. There were a couple of things that they just wanted to look at and assess for certain areas. So there wasn't anything major about this topic. This was just something that was pulled, but I appreciate you guys looking at that because that means you're paying attention and I love that. Okay, so the other item that was approved is the center median improvements for the SVX line. It is not being taken out between, you know, hospitality and fairway where all the yellow stripes are. They are going to, be replacing that with a solid center median, so that was approved. So let's see, the signage was approved, so, okay, let me go back to the, um. Street sweeping, the signage was approved and said to begin several years ago and has yet to be started. Yeah, as far as the signage, I'm a little bit delayed from your comments to, the PowerPoint, my apologies, about 30 seconds, so, uh. Yeah, this has been a long-term discussion. I mean, for years and years, we have talked about signage. I know one issue that had been brought forward is that people don't want signage near on their property. So it's very interesting how that's being done because people are allowed to park in front of their homes when there is street sweeping. A lot of the times the cars block the street sweeping, so it becomes counterproductive. But this is something that we're going to need to address. I know with certain road conditions, people don't even want their streets swept because it's only kicking up rocks, and that is something that we are also addressing with Public Works. So there's a lot that goes into it. But we did have that conversation with Vertec and the city last night. So, okay, very good questions. Yeah, and the center medians are coming and they're going to be approved. So what is also interesting about E Street and the SBS line as we jump back to this topic is that that corridor is approved for transit housing. And so like multi mixed use and condensed housing along a transit line. So when we start looking, I know Councilwoman Calvin as well as Louis Ojeda last night were asking about where the general plan is and where the specific plan is in relation to what we're doing in general, the vision of the city. This is important. We have approved so many future projects. SBX was approved on the basis of a future development project where people would be living along this commercial route to get from school to work, and it didn't happen. So it's all a part of a larger conversation that hasn't come to fruition yet. So, but baby steps, right? Okay. Next, we were talking about I had an item for a future meeting to come back and discuss a possible partnership with Assembly Member James Ramos and the Family Assistance Program for housing opportunities at Patton State Hospital. And this took a left turn. It was interesting. So I kind of want to give some context to it because I know the council was confused, but I know part of the community liked it, but wasn't sure. So back in 2021, the city of San Bernardino declared homelessness a state of emergency. And based off of that proclamation, Assembly Member James Ramos took an initiative to the California State Assembly and along with the governor's bill AB 346 to expand housing to the state hospital campuses, Patton State Hospital. And the premise was to expand the definition of what type of housing was permittable as far as like mental health and other uses. And it was approved. And our mayor, Mayor Tran, went with him and gave a testimony. The city of San Bernardino was a supporter of this project, along with the Family Assistance Program and Time for Change and other entities in and out of the Inland Empire were very supportive of this change in legislation, as well as the future leasing of this property for alternative housing. In the time since then, the the proposal said that, you know, a nonprofit and or local government would be awarded use of the land for housing opportunities. Well, Family Assistance Program has been the chosen nonprofit to take on this endeavor. This is their project at Patton State Hospital. And they are looking to rehab current homes, current buildings on site, as well as looking to build an additional 200 units. And their focus right now, if you guys can see the guy in the purple up at the top, his name is Daryl. He's the executive director of Family Assistance Program. Came to the meeting last night. Very nice man, came and said that this is, you know, something that they would like to have a discussion with the city of San Bernardino about whatever we could be at the table for. I mean, it could just be letters of support. It could be partnerships in building housings or rehabbing, but no matter what, this is a proactive step beyond just our initial support of this project now that it's been approved. In addition to that, and he's not in this picture, but if you guys remember, Christian Shaughnessy, who ran in the 3rd Ward, is also a team member of the Family Assistance Program and is heading, he's one of the vital arteries of their youth program and helping kids remove themselves off the street. So great, I mean, awesome resources, wonderful connections to the community. And Assemblymember Ramos is, I mean, the near and dear to the heart of the Family Assistance Program. And this is something we went to, the mayor and I and Mario Flores, Councilman Mario Flores, went to their ribbon cutting of their new center, which is now located on Highland Avenue, close to Paris Hill Park. And you know, they're this partnership for Patton State Hospital and what they're going to be able to do for the community is fantastic. This project that is moving forward does not have to include the city of San Bernardino. It doesn't have to include anybody. This is theirs to manifest, and that in of that they have looked to the support of the city and said, you know, we would like to have this conversation. That's what this item was. As far as all of the other conversations that came out of it, and you guys have called and asked, I don't know. I guess, and it is my fault for, I think, I guess overestimating where the council was in their knowledge of this project and what was happening, because they didn't know. I mean, and the you guys were following along. Yeah, I didn't know that they didn't know what was happening. And I mean, that's understandable. I mean, some are new and have never actually been a part of any conversation in the city regarding homelessness. And the city made their declaration, but truly, I mean, where have we been in our endeavor with a lot of these things? And so it was interesting. And I think that was like the bigger hindrance of like, they just didn't know the details. And let's see, sorry, I'm looking at your comments. Let's see, for someone that was quoting state bills, Kim Knos was clearly not fully informed about the entire plan. Yeah, I don't think she understood. I really don't. I did, you know, I think there was an attempt at a gotcha moment, to your point, like bringing up Christian Shaughnessy was supposed to somehow deter or derail this, but you can't get someone when you don't got all the information to begin with. And that's always the problem, right? Like you gotta show up with all the equipment if you're really gonna make a good attempt at it. But considering the source and the sources, I think it was just you know, someone had asked, like, had I had any conversation with the council members? No, no one asked me a question before this got to the public agenda. We had we have agenda reviews the Monday before the council meetings. I was at the session at 3 o'clock, and Kim Knaus, Theodore Sanchez, and Fred Charette were supposed to be at the 3:31, but I mean, no one asked. So I think that was where it came from regarding, like, it's just a lack of knowledge. And I do have to appreciate the Family Assistance Program director and Christian for understanding. And I mean, it was very interesting to watch the council then try to remove the Family Assistance Program from their own project and think the city had any power to go out for an RFP. I get it. I understand now why people just sometimes walk away from us, because but I do have to thank you guys for, continuing to want to have that conversation and work through the city. It's not always easy, but I really do appreciate it. And I do have to laugh at the hypocrisy of the same person who voted to indefinitely table any discussion regarding an RFP for our city attorney to then question an RFP process they have no control over. So I know that this isn't lost on you guys because of how many of you were reaching out last night. Yeah, but nonetheless, eventually, I think someone ended up getting a text message to stop the nonsense because you looked foolish. They all, thank goodness, ended up voting unanimously just for us to have this discussion and be at the table. And I do appreciate that about my colleagues, that sometimes they can just take a step back and realize, like, this is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for housing on this Patton State campus. And I know Councilwoman Knaus was discussing her other item, which is hopefully coming forward soon, which is the intermediary housing, and the discussions about what we do with the homeless in between, the navigation center and permanent placement, and just living, sporadically throughout the city. And I'm not sure, I know she was saying that I had had previous conversations, but I mean, I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with Councilwoman Knaus since February 8th, according to my calendar. So I'm not sure on her timeline, but nonetheless, I am excited that the council is moving forward with discussions for a navigation center with the county. If we do come back as a city and have our discussion, what we are going to do, there was a pre-proposed plan to turn the armory, or have use of the armory on Fifth Street for like emergency shelter placement with showers and bathrooms and tents, but like FEMA tenting. So again, everything's kind of on the table as far as the progression of how we are going to address homelessness. And so this is exciting. This really is exciting. And the sky is the limit, because we have almost 2,000 people on the streets, and we have a lot more that are underrepresented or that are, not homeless at the moment. So I was excited about this, and I'm glad that it went through, regardless of the, just the questioning. And in the future, I won't make assumptions that everybody knows what's going on as a council person, because I think that was just my mistake in them having an understanding. Okay, so next, there were a lot of public comments you guys were asking, and the community came forward, and I really appreciate the community taking the time to come down and voice their concerns about everything that's going on regarding immigration and ICE and the raids right now. So one of the things, though, is that there was the comments were being made that nobody had made any statements, or that the council and or the city had not addressed this issue. And I wanted to make sure everybody, I mean, because look, so much is happening every day. But we have been addressing this as things unfold. So on June 10th, Mayor Tran made a video. That was when the protests were going on and, all these raids were starting. And so you can go on to her Instagram and you can listen to what she had to say. She provided a number of resources to the community for outreach and all that. So that was done June 10th. And then on our last meeting of June 18th, we had asked the mayor and I believe another council member was in the agenda review, but we had asked the city manager in his update to provide the community our stance on where we are as a city and what's happening with any partnerships or lack thereof between our police department and ICE. And so he did provide that in the city manager update. So I just want to review this, like the city is restricted from investigating, interrogating, or arresting individuals solely for immigration enforcement purposes. The city is not allowed to share personal information like home or work addresses with ICE unless it's publicly available. San Bernardino PD cannot ask individuals about their immigration status, participate in arrests based on civil immigration warrants, or use immigration officers as interpreters. There is an exemption allowing cooperation with federal immigration officials in cases involving violent or serious felons. And with that said, San Bernardino and San Bernardino PD are also prohibited from preventing ICE from conducting an enforcement action in the city if one were to occur. So that was put out at the June 18th meeting. I know Councilwoman Ibarra said she didn't know why statements weren't made. I know she wasn't at the June 18th meeting, so maybe she wasn't watching or saw the city manager's update, but it has been addressed. I know it's not going to solve anything for anybody, but it's definitely I mean, there's our position on it. So, okay. All right. And then your guys' $1 million question. What happened after the public statements? So, okay. After the public came down and gave their statements, Councilwoman Ibarra was called to come down and give a public comment. So she came down off the dais and everybody was given 1 minute and 30 seconds last night to speak because we had almost 50 speakers. And she gave a 1 minute and 30-second response to the community members who were concerned about ICE and concerned about immigration issues. And then after she finished her comment, and this is on the video, she wanted to continue speaking on something. And her time was cut. And there was a back and forth ensued. The mayor was like, hey, look, everybody got this time. We got to be respectful. And then she turned around and her comment was, but I want to talk about what Councilwoman Ortiz has done. And I look like, I'm sorry. I was like, what did I do? That was my response. I was like, what did I have to do with immigration and any of this? I didn't say anything to anybody. So that's when you then see, like, the mic goes off and the mayor calls for a recess. And then I guess the live stream went off. So everybody wants to know, like, what this was about. I didn't know. I know you guys were asking me last night. I have no clue. I saw Sandra Ibarra twice yesterday. No one said anything to me. And then all of a sudden there was this like just like unhinged panic attack moment from her, and I'm just like, what happened? What are we doing? Like, did we literally just stop a public meeting because a council member decided to interrupt it? Yes, we did. So I'm like, she's like, and treasure this, and I'm like, what did I do? I've been sitting here for 2 hours quietly. What did I do? So from the feedback I've received, if you guys remember, a month or two ago, Councilwoman Ibarra went on a rant during a public meeting about, I guess, code enforcement getting called on her because I don't know, she wasn't taking care of her animals, her yard was gross or something. I don't know. I don't know the details. But what I've learned is apparently now it's my fault. Somehow her not taking care of her animals or her yard is now my problem. And that is what she wanted to apparently talk about. And in addition to that, started, pointing fingers at other members of the public from the 7th Ward and starting to say things about them. So, I appreciate those of you who reached out. Some of you on her street who said that, her first line was to go to everybody, up and down her neighbors and accuse them. So I guess that didn't work. And now it's my turn. And that's what it was, that she got turned into code enforcement. She's had administrative hearing and all of these things. And somehow I'm responsible for that. I don't live in her ward. I don't go by her house. Just clean up your yard. What do you want me to tell you? I don't know. I can't help you there. What other people in community members have reached out, and feel that her additional comments and pointing at, a member of the 7th Ward and making comments towards his public comment, that they're being retaliated against and targeted by other elected officials because they're speaking out. And they speak out on city issues and they speak out on council members, and that this is all being directed. And so we literally had a 20-minute recess of an entire meeting that was running fine because of this outburst. And I want you guys to understand something, okay? As a council person and as a resident of the city of San Bernardino. Okay. I know how you feel. For 6 years, I stood up and gave public comments, pulled public records, held our elected officials accountable. I've been targeted by elected officials, by city officials, by police officers, by representatives. I have been in that light because I speak out. And when Councilwoman Calvin was up there, whenever I spoke, she was blamed. She was blamed if I knew information. She was blamed if I pointed at somebody. She was blamed for everything I did. And now, I'm sorry to tell you this, that as your council person, you are being blamed for what you say. Like that you obviously don't have a mind of your own, or that you have no knowledge of what's actually happening to the city right in front of your face. And that is now the narrative. And people have reached out and they're scared. And what I want to tell you, first I want to give you a quote that's near and dear. And this is why we had to do this recap. So this was said by former President Barack Obama. One voice can change a room. And if one voice can change a room, then it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if it can change a state, it can change a nation. And if it can change a nation, it can change the world. Your voice can change the world. And in everything that I've learned about this city, now remember, they have held false investigations. They have published false investigation reports against myself, Councilwoman Calvin, and other members of the community and other employees. They have put out false statements against us. They want to scare you and intimidate you. They want you scared and intimidated in this city. So you will stop speaking up and speaking out. So you will stop seeking transparency. So you will stop asking for accountability. You can never give up your voice in this city. It's not for us to like everything that you say. I sit there now as an elected official, and I don't always hear things that I like. People don't get up and always say the most gracious and wonderful things about me. But you know what? You have a First Amendment right to speak. And you have, as the residents of the city of San Bernardino, every right to know what's on the agenda, to know what we're doing and the votes that we are taking, to understand, to be a part of those discussions. You are supposed to be engaged, educated, and empowered. Now, are my base of people, community, residents, and friends probably some of the most knowledgeable, intellectual people and outspoken in this city? Well, yeah, because we've been doing this together for 6 years. We have stopped so much damage from happening. And honestly, you guys, we are at a crossroads where everything is starting to fall apart for all of the corruption, the mismanagement, the cronyism, which is why you see on the dais what you see. And I'm used to Sandra getting down there and saying crazy stuff. She's been doing it for years. But again, this is why the city gets sued. And that's what happened at the meeting. They don't want you to come speak because they don't like what you say. I get blamed for everything anyways. So add it to your list. But the worst part about it is that the people's meeting was interrupted. That the work that we were doing for the people had to come to a pause for a breakdown that was unnecessary. And that's really the worst part in all of this. So I wanted to recap the meeting for you because you asked me to, but that's really it. That's what happened during the 20 minutes that the camera was off. I mean, I stayed in the audience with the majority of the city workers, the people in the audience that remained. But hey, look, I just don't want you guys to stop doing the awesome stuff that you do. I want you guys to continue to be the voice that we need in the city of San Bernardino. I was elected because San Bernardino is changing. I'm here because you guys have a different expectation of representation and accountability and transparency. And that is actively working against the self-interest that is and toxic environment that is established inside of City Hall. So I'm sorry that you guys feel targeted. I'm sorry that this is happening, and some of you are saying like this is how I and Kim Calvin have felt over the years. Yeah, this is not new, but you are not alone. Why didn't the council discuss the risk management? Well, why? Of course, the council is not going to discuss why our rates went up. They're not going to discuss our exposure to liability because we are the liability. The elected officials and the city are their largest problem. And so just vote, move on, and we don't need to discuss it because you're just going to pay it. So these are the problems. These are the continual problems that we have in the city. But again, keep showing up. 7th Ward residents, as your elected official, I stand by you. Enjoy our ward, walk our ward, embrace our ward, love your homes, improve your homes, know your neighbors. We have a great community, and nobody is going to stop us from enjoying that. Nobody is going to shut you down because I have your back. And I always have, and I always will. Because I appreciate each and every one of you. It's why our streets are getting paved. It's why our trees are getting trimmed. It's why San Bernardino is being rebuilt. Is because it's now on a foundation of progress. And you did that because you wanted the future in front of you. And not always easy, but definitely worth it. So thank you guys so much for reaching out. I do appreciate all of your continued support. I appreciate you guys. San Bernardino is worth it. You all are worth it. And your voice is the most valuable thing in the world. And don't ever let anybody try to shut you down for it. So thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful, happy 4th of July tomorrow and a wonderful, happy holiday weekend. Be safe, stay cool, and I will see you next agenda review. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.